So I was like, you know what, screw it. So I wiped out my 401k. I put that towards the Lamborghini Urus. How it all started was I just started researching the game. We have a Bears player right now in our Range Rover.
What were some of the early tactics that you were focusing on to get repeat customers? Is there a place where you are listing this vehicle aside from your website? How do you think a market like Chicago differs from like a Miami, New York, LA, Vegas?
It was honestly probably a better opportunity for me to get started somewhere like here in Chicago as opposed to somewhere like Miami or Las Vegas. Reason being is...
What's up, everybody? It's Lorenzo back with another episode of Link Live. We're excited to bring you episode 12 today. As mentioned last week, we are locking in on one episode a week, so we're super excited to bring you another installment of the show. We're welcomed today by Kyle Barrera, founder and CEO of Axel Luxury, one of Chicago's leading exotic car rental businesses. This episode is all about risk. It's all about risk taking. It's all about Kyle's story of how he worked in the corporate workforce for anywhere from almost 10 years now, and then went out on his own to start his own business. For those of you looking to get an idea about founder journey, what calculated risk looks like, getting your feet wet in a totally different industry than you're used to, and building up that confidence, this is going to be a great episode for you. Kyle is someone that is pioneering the exotic car rental space in Chicago. It's not your normal premier Miami, Vegas, LA sort of market that you would think about. So some of his tactics that he is going through to achieve success, acquire new business is very interesting stuff. And he's doing it all through documentation as well, which is what is super interesting to me, right? And why we wanted to have a conversation with him. He's filming everything every single day. He's giving advice on his personal brand every single day about what he has done to get to the point that he's at. And I know Kyle's just getting started. So if you haven't already, engage with our socials. Everything's at Link Creative Co. Like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast. Share the short form, goes a long way, and I don't say it enough. Appreciate all the support. And without further ado, let's hop into episode 12, Link Live. Awesome. Well, we are back in the studio, Link Live. We're joined today with a very special guest. I'm very excited to be interviewing Kyle Barrera today, CEO, founder of Axel Luxury, an exotic car rental business here in Chicago. Definitely has a really cool story. We were just talking a bit off camera about how he came into the business, so on and so forth. I don't want to ruin the story, but I'm really excited for Kyle to share his wisdom and just like how he's been able to quit his 9-to-5 within a year. I think it's been make the full jump to becoming a full-time business owner, do so, hopefully profitably, but also, you're building online. That's something that I really admire. You're active on social media, and you're being extremely transparent with it along the way, which I think a lot of people may struggle with or may look at somebody and kind of like compare themselves to. I'm sure you do that. I'm a victim of doing that. So I think you have a really interesting perspective on what it is you're doing and building. And I'm sure you'll say yourself, you're only getting started. So Kyle, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you for having me.
Like every story and every show that we start with, I want to start with your background. You're from the Chicagoland suburbs. Just talk to us about your upbringing. Like, did you have family that was in entrepreneurship? Like, what was your life like throughout high school and stuff like that?
Sure. So yeah, like I said, I'm from Frankfort, Illinois, southwest suburbs, and sort of grew up, good family and everything. My parents got divorced when I was pretty young, so that was like an interesting time when I was like 9-10 years old. My mom was an entrepreneur. My mom had she owned her own business. She was a writer for like mutual funds and financial type stuff. So she kind of instilled that drive in me when I was a kid. And then my dad was a truck driver for the Chicago Tribune for like 30 years. So he's got like hard work ethic too. I guess that synergy of having that like entrepreneurial drive as well as just good work ethic is kind of what molded me in a way. But yeah, man. So I grew up in Frankfurt and then went through high school, college, went to U of I down in Champaign.
Nice.
So
did I actually.
Did you what year did you graduate?
2021.
Okay, so you're younger, bro. I graduated in 2018. And I was quite different back in those days, bro. I was like a frat party boy through and through, dude. that's all that mattered to me back then, was just partying straight up. So I had a bunch of fun out in college. And then, yeah, I ended up moving to Arizona, like I mentioned earlier today, for a few years. And then I moved back here downtown.
Was that mainly for work at the time, the Arizona move?
My buddy was moving out there. My brother had lived out there. And have you been to Scottsdale?
I have once.
Yeah, it's fun out there. So decided to move out to Scottsdale. Super fun. That's where I got into tech sales, was out in Scottsdale.
Okay.
And then I ended up moving back here to Chicago. My family's here and whatnot. And then was still doing all the tech sales stuff. And then I got into the car rentals about a little over a year ago. So
Nice.
Is when I got into it, yeah.
What was your first introduction into car rentals like? I feel like that's a very niche thing. Also very, and I want to get into this, like very expensive business to start and get into. What was your first introduction into that? First off, yeah. I want to get back into the 9-to-5 stuff, but
definitely. So I busted into the car rental game in a unique way for sure. I didn't have a crazy amount of capital or anything like that, but it all started for me like shortly after I turned 29 years old. I was just feeling completely lost, bro. I had been just working my 9-to-5, going through the normal motions of life, just sort of falling into the conditioned life that I was conditioned to live.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't super happy, and I was kind of in like a dark place. I know like sometimes when people start a business or they change their life around, they have to reach that like dark place in order to get there. So was that sort of a low point in my life, just feeling lost. And I'm thinking, damn, I'm 29 years old. I'm going to be 30 soon. I still don't have a business. I'm just working this 9-to-5. I've always wanted a business. And I've tried some things in the past. It was mainly all like e-com related, some of the like get rich quick schemes back in the day.
Talk to me a little bit about that, because I did that stuff as well.
Yeah. Like back in 2019 when drop shipping was huge, I tried getting into drop shipping. I've tried getting into like print on demand and stuff like that.
Okay.
Starting clothing brands. But I always quickly gave up on that stuff just because I didn't have the passion for it. Like I don't like going online trying to find random products to sell and adding them to websites and stuff like that. Like it's not
Right.
fun. So yeah, had some experience with trying some things and failing like multiple times. And then I'm 29 years old. I'm sitting there thinking, damn, like I'm still not doing this business stuff, although I've always wanted to. So I literally just started praying to God, man. I was just like, God, please bless me like with a business idea that I'm passionate about. And then just randomly started getting this idea to do car rentals. I was originally going to do something a bit more modest. Like I was thinking, maybe I'll get like a cool little car and I'll rent it out on Turo or something like that. Little side hustle, and I get to drive a car for free. And then as I started researching the game more extensively, I came across the exotic car rental game and like the high-end luxury car rental game. And I came to find that you can make a lot more money with the high-end cars with putting in less work.
Mm-hmm.
And B, you get to deal with cooler cars, rather than just dealing with like normal cars. So that's kind of how I found out about it. I was going to start more modestly with something, just like a decent little luxury car or something. But then I found that the exotic car rental game was a bit more profitable and just more fun in general. So I ended up getting into the exotics. But how it all started was I basically just started researching the game, looking into rentals, watching YouTube videos, listening to podcasts. And then that's how I came across my mentor. He's a dude out in Miami. His name's Jaden Bloom. He's pretty big on Instagram and with the whole car world. Yeah, him and his partner Connor mentored me, but they run like a 30-car fleet out in Miami, and they've been killing it for a handful of years now. But so yeah, I found him on a podcast as I was just going down YouTube rabbit holes, and they taught me the game from A to Z. I then ended up getting to the point where I was like, okay, I'm ready to start this. I spent the first couple months kind of just learning the game.
Was that something with Jaden and those guys in Miami? Did you have to invest in some sort of like program course? Did you just kind of connect with them naturally and they liked you and wanted to kind of take you under their wing? What was that?
Yeah, like? It was a mentorship program that I paid for, which was totally worth it. I know nowadays like there's a lot of like poor sellers out there and whatnot that get a bad reputation, but there's a lot of them out there with genuine intentions. Like Jaden and Connor, super cool guys. They've become really good friends with me. And it was totally a good move to join their program because it just kind of put me light years ahead of where I would have been had I tried to get into this stuff on my own.
Sure.
So yeah, they basically taught me the game from A to Z. I got to the point where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this. Again, I was thinking about doing something a little more modest though. I was like, all right, let me get like a BMW like X5M or something like that. A cool car, but nothing too crazy. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to get a Lamborghini Urus. I'm going to go all in on this. If I get a Lamborghini, that'll kind of put me on the map right away. You make more money from a Lamborghini. You can rent those out for about $1,000 a day. But it was definitely a massive risk because like I said earlier, I didn't have a lot of capital when I started this company. I was at a point in my sales career where I was making like pretty good money, but nothing too crazy. I had switched jobs. Like I was making good money at the company I was at in Arizona. I had switched jobs after a while when I moved here to Chicago.
Were you always in like some sort of sales or tech sales after college though?
Yeah, always been in sales. Yep. Sales, tech sales. And I got a really shitty territory at the new job that I took here in Chicago. And like these accounts I was given, they just weren't buying anything, bro. So it was super dry. I was mainly just living off my base salary at that point. So didn't have too much extra capital left over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what, man? Like, I'm thinking to myself too, like, I got this 401k sitting here. I don't really like the fact that this money's just sitting here in a 401k. I have no control over it. Like, I'd like to invest this money how I want to invest it. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. So I wiped out my 401k and then I put that towards the Lamborghini Urus. I left a little bit left over just to kind of have as some business money for marketing, advertising, that sort of stuff. And that's how I started. And then things kind of snowballed from there after that.
Did you always have a passion for cars or like a base knowledge of cars? Or like, is it something that came up as like a unique, cool, passionate opportunity?
Yeah, I've always had a passion for cars. I've always loved cars, motorcycles, anything that has a motor, I've always loved. And I always thought to myself, like I wanted to get into some type of business that involves cars, but I really never knew what. And then, like I said, I just started praying and I got this car rental idea.
Love it.
So,
awesome. So fast forward then, you obviously have a gap of time, about a year from you starting Axel, running it, and then quitting the 9-to-5, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were some of those like, okay, you signed on the dotted line, got the Urus, right? It was your first vehicle in your fleet. What were some of the early challenges then? Like, a lot of people, when you see them on social media, they go on podcasts, they skip in my opinion, they skip the 60, 70, even 80% of like the grind part, the really hard part that nobody talks about within entrepreneurship, and then skip to the, I got 10, 20, 30 cars in the fleet and everything's awesome, right?
Yeah.
Which is great, but I'm interested to hear like, what were some of those early hardships, challenges, question marks where you got into it and you maybe surprised yourself in a nervous way and a not nervous way, but what were some of those early kind of challenges for you?
Yeah, it was definitely tough at first just because I had no experience. I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, my mentors taught me the game generally, but I didn't have any experience whatsoever. And the challenges at first were definitely just pushing out the Urus, the first car that I started with, pushing it out on rentals as much as possible because I didn't have effective marketing strategies or advertising strategies. I figured if I could rent the Urus out for minimum 3 days per month, my payments on the car would kind of be covered, and then everything after that would be profit. So in my mind, the first thing that came to my mind was just social media. Like, I'm just going to start posting on social media and try to get clients that way. So I started posting on Instagram, and I mean, that's a whole nother story, but that's been one of the best things that I've ever done. I mean, it's nerve-wracking at first putting yourself out there on social media.
For sure.
But after you get used to it, you get better, and the opportunities that come your way are just crazy from social media. I mean, I'm here right now because of social media, but I started putting myself out there on social media, man, and I was basically creating videos. I sounded super awkward at first. I know there's people making fun of me at first. I've heard through the grapevine, but started putting myself out there. I was running a terrible Instagram ad that I had just made off my phone. And that's how I got my first few clients. Like, so the Urus was getting rented, you know, a couple days a month, 2-3 days a month, the first couple months.
Sure.
There were 1 or 2 months where I definitely didn't cover the payments fully. So I lost a little bit of money. And I had also started in December was when I first went on the market with the car. So it was about a year ago when I first went on the market. So obviously that's winter season. It's not hot season for rentals. So that was all a challenge. But yeah, I would say at first it was really just dealing with the slow season as well as just not knowing what I was doing, but I was just kind of throwing myself out there and learning as I go.
Love it.
Yeah.
When you start a company like Axel, like, is there a place where you are listing this vehicle aside from your website where people could like see it almost on accident, or like if they're scrolling through and like shopping a rental, or are you relying just solely on your brand at this time?
So we do strictly private rentals. So we don't use Turo or any third-party platforms or anything like that. So how I find my clients is basically through organic social media, just posting a ton of content. I run Google ads. A lot of clients come in through Google. I do SEO on Google.
Nice.
I also run meta ads. Like, I constantly have those trickling out. So Google ads, meta ads, SEO, and then organic content. We also work with some brokers that are out there, just people that might be able to send you clients. We'll give them a commission off the deal if they send us a client.
Got it.
And then just personal network too, just telling everybody that I do rentals. And over time, I've been able to kind of fine tune all of that. So I get consistent rentals that are coming in. I built up a clientele where I get repeat clients and referrals, but that took a while for sure.
Yeah, that actually segued perfectly to my next point. So much of any business is like repeat customer, referrals, reviews. What were some of the early tactics that you were focusing on to get repeat customers, to get reviews and things of that nature?
Providing superb customer service, just putting these people on a pedestal, making them feel like they're the king of the world when they rent from me. I'll go above and beyond if they have any additional requests for the rental, if they need it delivered somewhere or whatever. I was just going above and beyond for every single client and providing great customer service, negotiating on deals. You know, maybe if they needed some extra miles thrown in, I'll give them some free miles or whatever. And just providing great customer service at first. And that's still what I focus on too, is great customer service. It leads to referrals. It leads to good Google reviews and all of that. So I would say, yeah, customer service for sure is just what leads to those referrals.
What were some of the like reasons people are renting in a city like Chicago? Like, because I have a lot of questions on, you know, maybe the difference of the industry in a city like Miami, Vegas, LA, right? Because people may not think of Chicago as like an on the map city that like has a super big demand for exotic rentals, right? But obviously there is in some capacity. So like, what do you see as the main reasons people are renting these cars?
It definitely varies, man. You see...
Sure, you have some funny stories.
Yeah,
like,
we have some crazy stories. You see people from all walks of life. You get to meet so many people, but it really does vary. So over the summer, we did a ton of weddings. So weddings are huge, special events.
Nice.
Birthdays, people will rent cars for their birthdays for the weekend. Sometimes you'll get guys that just want to flex. Like, they just want to hop in a car. They want to flex for the weekend. You'll get people that are traveling into town, whether it's business people or just people that have money. They might book a car for a few days, maybe a week or longer. So it kind of just varies. And then we've had some professional athletes, actually. We have a Bears player right now. He's in our Range Rover. He's got it until like January, and he got it last month. So that's a fat rental right there.
Love it.
And then we had another Bears player in the Lamborghini Urus last month. He had it for like 3 weeks. So we've been kind of slowly but surely getting up there as far as high-end clientele.
Nice.
But yeah, it definitely varies. I mean, and a lot of them do have money. A lot of these clients, a lot of them I feel like are spending their last dime on a rental. Like, some of these people just want to flex and they'll come to you. And
what's a telltale sign that someone's on their last dollar coming to you versus someone that has money?
So you can kind of just tell sometimes if people like have money versus don't have money. We try to do our due diligence when people rent from us too. And we kind of look into what they got going on, make sure that we're renting to the right people. And Yeah, you can just tell sometimes that people are just probably spending money that they shouldn't be on rentals. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they always come back ecstatic and they're pumped that they did it. So
Love it.
it's a good experience for them.
Love it. That brings up a good point. You mentioned like the long-term rental aspect. I'm sure it's a lot better of a business model or more just better margin for you to do long-term rentals. Talk to us about like the different variations of how you guys rent out, right? Like, I'm sure it's not just people doing half-day rentals and that's your entire business. So like, what are the tiers when you really break it down? Like really what Kyle knows now versus what he did maybe when you started a year or so ago. How are the different ways to like add on services, extend rentals, confirm repeat business, stuff like that?
Yeah, so it's a big mixture. We typically try to do minimum 1 day rental. We honestly aim for 2 day minimum, but we'll do 1 days when the cars are sitting around. But I would say on average, the rentals are anywhere from 2 to 3, 4, 5 days. And then usually you get your fair share of a few clients per month that'll rent for maybe a week plus.
Nice.
But yeah, it's typically always daily rentals that we do. We do some music videos as well from time to time. Those are always interesting. We've done some rap music videos. I had some rappers I think they're from Madison, Wisconsin, come down here a few months ago. And man, I pull up and there's like 5 dudes ready to shoot this rap music video. And I'm like, what am I getting myself into right now? And then we ended up having the greatest time ever, man. We're just bumping this dude's new track. It was actually a really good track. So we're bumping it in the Urus. They're recording stuff. At the end, they had me like kind of drive them around. They're hanging out the windows. And, dude, I was having a blast with these rappers. So you end up in situations like that all the time. But we'll do, typically daily rentals. And then from time to time, we'll do like video shoots, photo shoots.
Love it. That brings up another good point as well. How are you guys managing like, I'm sure you obviously have great insurance, but like over abuse of the rentals or like people that are maybe doing things illegal within the rentals or abusing, the car physically, right? Like I'm sure you have some stories where you've had to like deal with issues, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's part of the business, but if you do things properly, you can weed out a ton of risk in the car rental business. So like I mentioned earlier, first and foremost, we're vetting our clients. We're making sure we're renting to the right people. We're not renting to sketchy people. And then we're making sure they have the proper insurance. So we don't provide insurance to these renters.
Right.
They're going to be using their own insurance to rent these vehicles. And we have strict protocol that we follow to ensure that they have the proper coverage for these rentals. So we will call into their insurance provider on a recorded line. We'll basically ask them a series of questions to ensure they have the coverage. We'll get that call recorded. Once we have the verification they have the coverage, we put it onto a pretty bulletproof rental contract that will sort of transfer any liability. If they get in an accident or something like that, it transfers it to their insurance. So we would hit their insurance. And then we take a security deposit on every vehicle as well.
Sure.
So if people are scratching up the rims, or maybe they smoke in the car, or maybe they go over on the miles that they're given, then we will pull from the security deposit. Usually that's the case. Like usually they'll just scratch up the rims. Sometimes people will smoke in there and we'll just pull from the security deposit. But yeah, that's pretty much how we go about it. We put it on the client's insurance, take the deposit, and then we just try to make sure we're renting to the right people, and it weeds out a lot of the risk.
Love it. Back to one of the things I mentioned as well. How do you think running Axel in a market like Chicago differs from like a Miami, New York, LA, Vegas sort of market where there may be more immediacy or obvious demand, right? Like how do you think those markets differ?
That's a good question. So it was honestly probably a better opportunity for me to get started somewhere like here in Chicago as opposed to somewhere like Miami or Las Vegas. Reason being is places like Miami, the market is so congested out there. So there's countless companies doing exotic rentals in Miami, which means there's a ton of competition amongst all these people. And also it's driven the prices down in the market. So you can get exotic rentals in Miami for dirt cheap.
Right.
But you got a place out here like Chicago, there is not too many companies doing it. There's a handful of companies out here doing exotic rentals, but we can charge pretty top dollar out here. And since there's less competition, we can kind of all succeed within the market. And cool thing about it too is you can kind of win together with other car rental companies.
Yeah.
So we'll broker deals with other companies sometimes. Like let's say somebody comes to me looking for a car that I don't have, or maybe we're sold out for the weekend. We can then broker a deal with another fleet where we'll get a little bit of a commission off the top, and then vice versa. They can send clients to me. We'll give them a commission off the top. So as opposed to, or instead of it being like a super competitive environment, you can kind of win together.
Right.
But it's a good market here in Chicago, and thankfully I was able to bust into it at a good time where it was still like fairly untapped.
Right. Yeah, you could definitely see that. Okay, so I guess back to the progression of your story. You sign, you get the Urus, first one in the fleet. How do we continue to compound that, right? How many cars do you have in the fleet now?
We're at like 12 cars right now and growing, but I kind of want to stay efficient and not grow too fast.
Sure.
Honestly, all you really need in this game is if you have top tier cars, you need maybe 12 to 15 cars to really be doing well as a company, because these cars can make a lot of money if you have high-end cars. So I probably won't scale too much further beyond that, but it's a good question though as far as how we get all these cars. It is a mixture of purchasing cars myself,
Sure,
as well as bringing on investor cars. So out of all the cars that we have, I actually only own two of my cars.
got it.
The rest of the cars in our fleet are investor vehicles, is what we call them.
Sure.
So these are vehicles that we're managing for other people that own them. It's kind of like property management, but for cars. And
How big of a business is that? Because I've heard of that. I know of one other business in the city that does exotics, and I think most of their cars, we could talk about it later, but like most of their vehicles are the investor owned as well.
yeah.
How big of a business is that? Do you see a lot of your investors with multiple cars? Like what kind of returns are these individuals getting? Is that like an emerging, sector of business? Talk me through that.
Yeah, so you'd be shocked, man, how many people there are out there that are willing to give you their high value cars to rent out. Like when I first started in rental and I had that one car, I was always thinking to myself, like, damn, how am I going to get investors out there to literally give me their exotic or high-end luxury car to rent out? Like, that just seems crazy. But once you have that proof of concept down and people start seeing what you're doing, they become interested and they'll be willing to give you cars. So the way I found my first investor was I was pulling up to my parking garage in the Lamborghini Urus, and some dude saw me. He just came up to me. He's like, yo, I got this brand new Corvette. I was about to rent it out on Turo. And I was like, oh, I do private rentals. You can make a lot more money doing private rentals. And he's like, I'm down, bro. So a week later, we started renting out his Corvette. That's how I got my first investor car. Second one was a guy that just found me on Instagram. I got another car from my RA from college, my resident advisor from my freshman dorm in college.
Wow.
He kind of saw what I was doing
Yeah.
on Instagram. He added a car to the fleet. We got like 5 cars from this one guy that was renting some cars out on Turo. He was sort of getting pissed off at Turo just due to the fact that you don't make good money. They don't vet the clients. I got connected to him through a photographer that I've used in the past. He brought on like 5 cars onto the fleet. And then we're bringing on a couple more Lamborghinis actually over the next week or two. We got another Lamborghini Urus coming in, as well as a Lamborghini Huracan coming in. These are guys that just found me online.
Wow.
Yeah, they just found me online, hit me up. I ended up meeting up with them in person, kind of just got to know each other.
How are you vetting these investors once they contact you in terms of like wanting to actually work with them? Is there certain criteria that they need to hit? Is there certain availability or accessibility to their vehicle that you need? What does that look like?
Ideally, you're going to have full accessibility to the vehicle. Like when we're managing a car, we will ideally have that car in our possession.
Sure.
Because we like for it to be a rental car when it's under our management, not like a personal car / rental car. So typically we're going to fully put it under management. If the person wants to take the car for a weekend here and there, maybe they have a wedding to go to or something like that, that's completely fine. But we try to make it clear that if we are going to partner up, it's going to be mainly a rental car
Sure.
to rent out. But yeah, you deal with different people for sure when it comes to these investors. Some of them have different needs than others. Some are trying to be super hands-on and they're on your ass. And then other ones are the complete opposite. Like I got one guy who I can't even ever get a hold of. Like I basically just got his car sitting there and he just never answers his phone. He kind of just gave it to me and then just disappeared apparently. But yeah, it just varies. And then going back to your question earlier, it is a case where some people will add one car. A lot of these guys have multiple cars, and you just build a good relationship with them and they might add multiple cars to the fleet. And then as far as the split you have with the investor, we will typically go for like a 50-50 split, maybe a 60-40 split, maybe a 70-30 split if we have to. So we negotiate these splits. It depends on how valuable of a vehicle it is as well and how high of a price we can rent it out for.
Sure.
So if it's a super high value vehicle and the person wants a 70-30 split, I'm okay with that. But for a low end vehicle, maybe something like a Corvette C8, I won't do anything less than a 50-50 split on something like that.
Yeah.
Because at that point we're fully managing the car. So we're running ads, we're getting content constantly, we're doing full client acquisition, we're doing all the insurance checks, we are doing pickups, drop-offs, etc. So we're taking all of the operations, and the investor will essentially just get passive income. So it's pretty cool.
It's a good trade-off. It's definitely something very niche that people are not thinking about always. What are the most in-demand rentals right now?
The most popular rentals, I would say, are definitely the Lamborghinis, the Lamborghini Urus SUV. People absolutely love those. We have a McLaren 570S in the fleet. That thing was just staying out all summer long. That thing was just out like crazy. So Lamborghinis, McLarens, like I said, we're getting the Lamborghini Huracan soon. That's another staple in the exotic rental game. We're adding a G-Wagon onto the fleet this week as well. G-Wagons are staples. But yeah, all your Lamborghinis, your McLarens, and then if you go a little bit lower end, the BMW M Series cars, the Mercedes AMG cars, as well as the Corvette C8s. Those kind of make up like the staple cars in the rental game.
Nice. I'm sure it gets very expensive holding and placing these cars, right? Like where are you keeping all the cars like right now?
Yeah, we have a private garage that we keep them in where we basically just pay per vehicle per month. I've thought about maybe getting like a little warehouse somewhere, but I like being downtown. If I were to get a warehouse, just due to how expensive it's going to be, I'd probably have to go somewhere into the outskirts. But what kind of gives me a leg up right now is we're really the only exotic car rental company located like downtown, straight in the heart of the city.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have a private garage we keep them in, and that's what we're doing for now. One of our partners that we have doing stuff with us, he keeps some of the cars by him. Sometimes he has a place in the suburbs where he can keep some of the cars, so that helps us out, and then we'll kind of shuffle them through our building sometimes as needed. So kind of a mixture of the building as well as this guy's place that he has out in the burbs.
Nice. What was I just going to ask you next? You mentioned that it makes sense for you right now to stay within the 12 to 15 car range, right? To someone that is listening that maybe wouldn't understand that reasoning, like, and someone's thinking like, why wouldn't he just want 30 cars, right? Wouldn't he be able to multiply his business by, whatever? What are the reasons around that decision right now?
I've seen a lot of people in the car rental game that scale too quickly, or they scale beyond their means.
Sure.
Like, as of now, like I mentioned earlier to you, it's really just two of us that are running my company. I take care of pretty much all the operations. I still do pickups, drop-offs, stuff like that. I do have a guy that helps me out. He does our insurance verifications, and he'll do pickups and drop-offs and stuff like that too. But as of now, it's just two of us. And just keeping things lean and mean is important for me right now as we just kind of fine-tune our operations. I went full-time into this very recently. So my focus right now is just sort of making sure we're operating as efficiently and smoothly as possible, making sure we have systems in place that are going to support the business properly, as opposed to just adding every single car I can get.
Right.
Because then I'll end up in a place where I'm just disorganized, I'm stressed out, and things can go haywire.
Right.
But Yeah, we're in a good spot right now with the amount of cars we have, and we're slowly but surely scaling up. But I get hit up all the time by people that are interested in adding cars, and I gotta honestly deny them because like we don't want to just take every single car that comes our way.
You also don't want to take a car from an investor that you know is not going to sell a lot. I'm sure by now you know what's going to move and what's not.
Yeah,
So
exactly. We've had some people hit us up with cars that I just know aren't going to rent out, so
right.
we'll just kind of deny them. We've had some people that do have cool cars too, but we got to weigh out, is it worth it to take on another car versus put more focus into the cars that we have right now and pushing them out. So I've denied some people that have some pretty cool cars, but we just simply would do better if we just focus on the cars that we have right now. But the reason I'm adding some more cars on over the next couple of weeks, I know I mentioned the Urus, the Huracan, the G-Wagon, because those are top tier vehicles.
For sure.
Yeah, so those are super top tier. There was somebody recently that wanted to add like some sort of, I forget the exact model, but it was like a 2-door AMG, super cool car. But I was like, yeah, we probably don't need that right now.
Right.
So
makes sense for sure. And I want to reverse a little bit back to you. And congrats, by the way, for leaving the full-time job. We often refer to it as the jump, right? Was there a specific moment, inflection point, something that happened, a new level that you unlocked where you're like, okay, it's time. Like this 9 to 5, like it's not serving me. It's going to limit me. And I really need to like go all in on the business.
Yeah, so we did definitely get to a point where the business has been doing well consistently. We've been bringing in good money on a monthly basis. And a big part of it also was, it was just getting way too hectic. Like this past year has been the most hectic year of my life by far. I was working a job where I had to go into the office 4 times a week. So basically Friday was my only work from home day.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I brought on this dude, Alejandro, earlier this year, the guy who helps me out with stuff. He took a massive amount of the workload off my shoulders, so I was still able to do the tech sales stuff. But it just got so hectic. I mean, when you're just dealing with the day-to-day with the business, all the operations and the back-end stuff, making sure everything is running properly, it just became way too much to handle. And I kind of got to the point where it was like, okay, I really can't do both of these right now. I either choose the job or I choose my company. Obviously, I'm going to choose my company.
Yep.
And I kind of just felt inside me it was the right time. Like I'm a very spiritual and faithful guy. So I was praying very heavily on it. Just felt like it was the right time. It was kind of that same feeling I got when I started my company. You know, when you get that feeling inside you where you know you're going to do something no matter what. I got that feeling when I started the company. I got that feeling when I took a risk and I bought the Lamborghini Urus. It was that same feeling. I was like, it's time for me to just take the jump and do this full time.
Love it. Yeah, that's very similar to how I felt, right? Like I was working for a big corporate company and I was at a point where I was either going to start losing clients or get fired from my job essentially because too much was going on where it was becoming noticeable. And you have one answer at that point, one decision. So no, I love that. What is like, right? Because you see all this stuff online, you see social media. And like I mentioned, I've came across your mentor and that Jaden guy. I've seen a ton of his content. What does like really healthy and successful volume for a company like yours look like in terms of like how many rentals are going out a month or something like that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Like what's the range, right? Like the best of the best in a big market versus like someone who's maybe 6 months in and then kind of like a healthy in between.
Sure. So we try to make it so that our cars go out like minimum 10 days per month. It's hard to get there. Like there's cars that sometimes some months might only go out 4 or 5 days in a month, but then they'll have a month where they're just print money. They're out 3 weeks, 4 weeks or something like that. So we try to aim for that 10-day range as like kind of like a minimum. That's always our goal. Doesn't always happen, but it is very up and down. Like it definitely varies. We've gotten to the point recently where it has become more consistent, where we have consistent rentals going out on a regular basis. We're bringing in consistent money. But over the past year, it definitely was up and down, man. Like I had months that were super slow, and then I had months where the cars are just staying out and they're just printing money. So you just got to kind of roll with the punches, and you got to get to the point where your book of business is built up enough to where you do have these consistent rentals being pushed out, which is finally where I'm at right now. The book of business is there. I've fine-tuned the marketing and the advertising. The social media has been growing. So I'm finally getting to that point right now. But
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you accredit that to more so? Do you think it's like just sheer consistency and time as a business? Do you feel like it's knowing the right people and having that network? I'm sure it's a combination of everything, but like, is there one thing that you feel like is the catalyst that's kind of been pushing you guys?
Yeah, it's just remaining persistent in all avenues of the business. Just with content, trying to push out content almost on a daily basis, which was really hard to do while I was still working a job, but I was still pushing out pretty heavy content. Now I'm pushing out even more content. So the content's been super important. We've gotten a decent amount of organic leads coming in lately. And then just getting out there and networking and meeting people as well. When I got into the car rental game, I had no connections in the car industry whatsoever, but I've made so many connections over the past year. And same thing with running ads and doing stuff like that, just fine tuning all that over time and just being super persistent with it all and just getting better as time goes on. That's kind of what got us to the point where we're at today.
100%. You hear it a lot, but it's really all the boring stuff that like gets you to that point. There's no hiding it. There's no kind of working around it.
It's simple. That's
right.
what I've learned. Like, there's one thing that I've learned from starting this business and scaling it to where it is today. It's that starting a business is honestly pretty simple. It really just takes action and consistency, persistence towards that goal that you have. Like, now that I've done this, I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, I can definitely replicate this in different types of businesses now that I've done this. You just got to pretty much take action. That's it.
That kind of leads me to my next question too. I was going to ask, like, what's next for Axel? Obviously, you guys are still very new. I'm sure you have a million ideas and things that you want to do and continue to scale. But like, what are the next steps? What does the next phase look like for Axel? And then like, are you thinking about getting into any other areas or, lines of business?
Sure. So as of now, my main focus is on, like I said earlier, just kind of getting to a point where we're extremely efficient at what we're doing. Systems are in place that are allowing us to operate the business smoothly, and kind of just fine-tuning everything is my goal right now. We've, at this point, got pretty much all the cars that we need now that we're bringing on some additional cars here in the next couple of weeks. So just operating smoothly and efficiently is my goal right now. And then as we roll into the spring and into the summer, we might grow a little bit more, bring some more cars on. I think it'd be cool to throw some sort of event here in the spring or in the summer, do some sort of car event, fundraiser type event. So that's definitely on my radar. And then see where else it expands into. Like, I might want to try to get into selling cars a little bit, like brokering some deals. And I'm actually also myself getting into the coaching aspect of it right now too, because since finding success in the rental game and posting about it on social media consistently, I've had so many people that have been hitting me up over the past several months, like, yo, how do I get into rentals? How does the insurance work? How does this work, that work?
Right.
And people started offering to pay me too. They're like, yo, bro, I'll pay you to help me with rentals. So it was kind of just the logical next step. I was like, okay, I'll start like a little mentorship program. And that's been super cool so far. I've literally just launched this like a few weeks ago, but I've already had a handful of people join on. We are connecting on calls once a week, like a group call where everybody's hopping on. We kind of just shoot the shit. We have a Q&A session where they're asking questions, and it's cool to be able to give that guidance. Like, I'm in a position now where I get to help these people. Like, my life completely changed from the car rental game, and now I can pass on that knowledge to other people and hopefully help them change their life. But it's cool, man. So going back to your question, I'm not sure exactly where everything will evolve into, but I'm excited to see where it all keeps evolving.
Love it. Yeah, I think that's the most fulfilling thing as an entrepreneur, is being able to give any piece of value, any piece of advice to someone who's like aspiring to do that. It's the whole reason we're doing this podcast here. So no, it totally makes sense. You've also been able to, and from what I've seen, partner with some cool businesses to advertise as well, right? I saw you guys are in, I think, what hotel is it you guys do some advertising in as well?
The Marriott Hotel right on Michigan Avenue.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, how much is like the tourism aspect of being in a big city been able to like help, or how have you guys been able to leverage that, right? Because that's smart. People wouldn't think of that. There's a lot of people in from out of town. Mm-hmm. They're looking for transportation. transportation in the city is probably one of the hardest things to like navigate if you don't know what you're doing or where you're going. How did that come about? And like, what does a process look like for being able to advertise with a hotel group that big?
Yeah, so we kind of just fell into it. We actually just got a cold call on our business line. That day, Alejandro answered the phone, and it was some dude just asking if we'd want to advertise at the hotel. So we went and met up with him, and he was mentioning to us how they have around 1 million guests per year, I think. And I was thinking to myself, a lot of them are definitely people that are coming in for probably weddings and things like that. They throw events there at that hotel. So it's kind of a no-brainer. I was like, yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll do it. And they just finally started running the ad recently. We created the deal back in like July, but it took a while for everything to kind of get set in stone. But finally it's running. Nice. So yeah, that's
what is the physical, is that like a kiosk? What is that in the hotel?
Yeah, it's like a kiosk in the hotel. So our ad will be running on the kiosk. It goes through various businesses in Chicago where their ad will be running. And then you can also interact with the kiosk. So they can go and click on like things to do. And then it'll say like rentals. And then our company will pop up there. Nice. And it'll show some cars.
Love that. It's a great, unique angle for sure. What else? I know you talk about organic social a lot. What would you say to those people that are on the fence about maybe becoming active, putting themselves out there on social media? From a business perspective, obviously, like it's a no-brainer. Like you kind of have to do it. But what's some advice early on, right? Like everybody's so suffocated by what they see already on social media. But obviously everybody starts small. So like what are some actionable habits, things that you adopted that I think like worked for you in the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough in the beginning. I think it's really just a matter of taking the leap of faith and doing it. I think that's the hardest part for everybody is putting themselves out there that first few times on social media because they're thinking, what's everyone going to think about this? People are going to probably make fun of me, etc. But it's really just doing it. Like when I posted my first video on social media, I still have it, I think. It's like in the depths of my Instagram. But I'm so unconfident behind the camera. I'm sitting there kind of just talking about how I'm starting this company and was just like super scared to post it. But I posted it and then I kept posting and you just get better over time. Like now I just hop into the camera, in front of the camera and I'm just going at it, you know? So just getting started would be my piece of advice. And I think anyone who's thinking about putting themselves out there on social media should 1000% do it because the opportunities that will come your way when you put yourself out there consistently on social media are just so abundant. It's insane. So I'm a huge advocate for doing it. Yeah. My little brother's a full-time social media guy too. My little brother's a TikToker. He's got like 1.5 million on TikTok.
No shit.
Wow. Yeah, that's like his full-time job. He lives out in LA. He's got like a couple 100,000 on Instagram too. So just seeing him do that, he's younger than me too. Just seeing him do that over the past like 5 years he's been doing it, that was kind of inspiring to me too. I was like, you know what, he's doing this. Like if I put myself out there, who knows what can happen.
What did he blow up doing? Like does he have like a niche or like specific?
He does like pop music, facts, and history, and he follows the Billboard charts and stuff like that. And he just makes little videos about it. His name is Adam the Flop. Okay. On Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. But yeah, so that was kind of inspiring to me, just seeing him like go and do this full time. He quit his job like a few years ago just to do this full time. He only worked for about a year out of college and then he went and did this full time. So that was inspiring. But yeah, it's definitely huge putting yourself out there on social media. And then I think just being unique and authentic with it as well. Like you've probably seen some of my content. Nobody that has a car rental business is posting content like me. Like I'm in front of the camera, I'm talking to it, I'm showing the back end of the business, behind the scenes type stuff. I'm showing what it looks like behind the scenes when a booking comes in. I'm showing myself washing cars and stuff like that. Yep. And I think that really resonates with people, just trying to be outside of the box and unique when it comes to the social media content.
Love it. 100%. I mean, it's just starting, taking any sort of action. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm sure you would say that as well. It doesn't have to be the highest of quality, but it's just like doing it. It's going to get you that much further. Yeah. Beautiful. What other advice, like more general business advice, would you give to people aspiring to do something more? There's such a cliche around having to figure out your career so quickly after college and like the pressure that society puts on, younger professionals, what would you say to those individuals that are still kind of like navigating that path, figuring out, maybe they just graduated, they're in their first job, they don't really like it, that sort of thing?
Yeah. I mean, I was in that position for years. Like I was going through the motions in the corporate world, and I would say find something you're passionate about and then just give it a try and take action on it. You might have to try a few things in order to find the one thing that works well for you. But in my experience, obviously, I tried stuff in the past where I did fail because I wasn't passionate about it. So my personal thought would be find something you're passionate about and then just take massive action on it. And if you stay persistent with it, it's going to happen. There's no way it doesn't.
Love it. We have a closing question on this show that I like to ask everybody. And the question is, if you had to go back in time and tell the 18-year-old version of Kyle one thing, knowing what you know now, what would that be?
It would be to be confident, would be what I would tell my younger self. I definitely struggled when I was younger with like some self-esteem issues. When I was growing up, I was the fattest kid in school, bro. I was super fat when I was growing up. So that kind of like messed with me mentally. And it took me a while to build up a confidence that I have today. So I would just tell myself to be confident, because I think confidence will help you in any line of business, obviously.
For sure.
So just be confident is what I would tell myself.
Amazing. One final thing is I did forget to ask this. You spoke a little bit about you're very spiritual, your faith. What are habits? What are things that keep you mentally in the game, right? Because as glamorous as things look online, like I don't care what business you're running, it's extremely hard. It's the hardest thing in the world. What are things that keep you running every day, keeping you healthy, keeping you in check?
Yeah. So for me, it's definitely my faith in God keeps me going. And I know that no matter what happens, I'm always going to be okay because I have that relentless faith in God. And aside from that, it is fitness and working out. Like I work out like crazy. I typically will run 3 5Ks per week, and then I'll lift weights 3 times per week. So just doing that every single week along with eating healthy, that's what really helps me as well. Like I woke up this morning, ran a 5K. It was the first thing I did. And that keeps me sane, man, because you're right. When you're running a business, there's stuff hitting you from all angles. It gets stressful. It gets hard. But if you work out, if you have good faith, then, you can stay peaceful while you're doing it.
It's amazing advice, Kyle. Thank you so much for being on Link Live. I really appreciate you being here. Tell the middle camera where people could find you, your socials, everything and more.
Yeah, so my company is Axel Luxury, AXEL Luxury, on Instagram as well as TikTok. Personal is Big KB23.
Love it. That's a wrap. Link Live.